the Rocky Mountain City Council to order. We normally begin our meetings with a prayer. I ask if you're able to stand and ask Councilman Tom Rogers to lead us in prayer.
Will you join me in prayer? Dear God, we pause to remember your goodness and the blessings of this day. In this often difficult world, we pray not for tranquility or for our tribulations to cease. Rather, we pray that you would give light to our eyes, hearing to our ears, understanding to our minds, and most especially, love to our hearts. Unite us, connect our spirits, and help us to remember our natural bonds as human beings. This is my prayer for the citizens of this city. Amen.
As the city clerk call the roll.
Councilman Blackwell.
Here.
Warner.
Here.
Watkins. Here. Rogers.
Here.
Miller. Here. And Bullock.
If you came in, there's an agenda over here in this box, and hopefully we have enough. If you didn't, hopefully you can share one with someone else. We're on item number 4 now, approval of the minutes of our regular scheduled meeting of the City Council, which was held on May 13th, 2019. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, then they'll stand as submitted to you. Item 5 is consideration of minutes and recommendations from the regular rescheduled committee of the whole meeting. This is for information only, but we had some closed sessions which had to do with personnel, real estate, and client attorney privilege. Our 2020 through 24 proposed capital improvement program, which was a presentation by Ken Hunter. Our internet sweepstakes, which was an update from Will Deaton and our chief of police, George Robinson. It's again information only, no formal action. We also had an update on the Home Investment Partnership from our internal auditor, and also a presentation on automated management system, which we are providing to our internal auditor. 6 was branding, video, and jingles. This was from Robin Cox and Jesse Nunnery and Mark Adcox. This was, again, just a presentation. 7 was boards and commissions and committees and recommended appointments. And last, 8 was security concerns discussion. That was item number 5. There's no approval there. That's just for your information. At this time, and I don't see Ranger Bill Lewis. He is normally always here. Okay, well, she's saying that we need to have this approved. He's normally here to make these presentations, but we do have a presentation at Arbor Day Foundation Tree Awards, which we won the Tree City USA Award. This is our 16th year. Tree Line USA Award, which is our 12th year, to the Department of Energy Resources by Nash County Ranger Bill Lewis. And unfortunately, Bill is not here, so we're not going to have that tonight, but we will do it at a future meeting. So do we need to approve that? Okay. Okay, we need to approve the minutes, which was item number 5. Do I have
So moved.
Motion approval. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no? All right. Item number 6, again, we will wait until we hear from Mr. Lewis. Item 7, item number 7 is petitions to be received from the public. When you came in, you had an opportunity to get a sign-in sheet. If you didn't get one, we'll be glad to bring you one. I'm just going to read the statement. It says, this is petitions from the public portion of our city council meeting. It's an opportunity for public comment, and we thank you for coming to the city and sharing your views. We do value all citizen input. If you'd like to address the council, you need to sign up, which I just mentioned. Any comments should be directed to the council as a whole and not to individual council members or city staff. It's your opportunity to raise a question or present a request to the council. However, in most cases, council members will not respond to public comments tonight, but may refer to a matter to the city manager or staff. We ask that you come to the podium, speak in a civil, non-argumentative, and respectful manner. Personal attacks which have the potential to disrupt the meeting will not be tolerated. You'll be asked to sit down or be removed from the meeting. We will give you 3 minutes, and we'll give you about a heads up at about 2.5 minutes. And if you've got a group and you want to speak on a common issue, we'd ask you to designate one person to present that group. So at this time, I'm going to call on Elaine Williams to come down, 801 Hammond Street. And then after Elaine, I'll have Robert Davis, and then Ms. Thornton will come up.
Good evening. First of all, I would just like to thank each of you for your service to Rocky Mount. Thank you for all you are doing for the city as a whole. Special thank to our manager, and I call your name out nightly as I pray for strength. So thank you all for all your service that you do. Secondly, I want to thank you all for your speedy reaction to getting the security system in place. In lieu of everything that happened throughout the country, it just like you all acted, in a very timely manner. So thank you all so much for that. I also want to suggest to our citizens of this great city of Rocky Mount that we need to come together as a whole and just try to unite ourselves. We don't need another flood to happen before we come together. With so many hurricanes and all these storms going on all over the United States, we can remember 99. We came together and we was united at that time. We need to try to stop the division, you all. We need to come together without a storm. Whether we use our platform as our kitchen table, a platform as a TV station, or whatever the case may be, we need to do something to build this city up and not tear it down. So that is my plea tonight, is let's come together. We got all these jobs coming to Rocky Mount. We need to be concentrating on the workforce. We need to make sure our people are qualified to handle these jobs that's coming. So that's what I say. We need to, throw our concentration in that direction. Make sure our family are up to par, have the tools that they need. Because when these jobs hit Rocky Mount, they're going to need somebody to work. So let's concentrate on making sure that our individual families is ready for these jobs, because that will help the whole city as a whole. So I just say thank y'all. You're doing a good job. Just keep it up, and God bless each and every one of you.
And then, Mr. Davis, I'm going to maybe wait on you. Bill Lewis, why don't you come on down? We thought maybe you had gone missing in action.
To notice how certain
It was
people
possible I could be missing in action. It was dry, and then it got wet, and I don't know what I'm doing now. So. Thank you very much. I'm here today, you know why I'm here, right? And you guys know what's going on, and that's what's important. I've been coming to this presentation for a lot of years now. So I hope that there's a comfort level when I'm here, even when I'm late. I appreciate that very much, that we have that opportunity. I was born in Rocky Mount in 1952 with 46 years of marriage. And I got my wife here with me tonight. Wave at us, Jill. And I say that because I try my best to keep in check for not saying untruths, because I'm concerned about retribution from above. And otherwise, I try to be very careful about not sharing inaccuracies, because I get retribution from the house. So she wants me to be sure that I use the right details and say the right numbers. I mean, if you miss an anniversary by a day, you know you're in trouble, right? So that's the way it happens, and that's what I'm here for, to give you some information and some accuracies about some things that have been going on in Rocky Mount. I've been in forestry for 44 years. I was here in Rocky Mount and experienced the eye wall of Hurricane Hazel in 1954 while standing in the parking lot at Parkview Hospital waving at my mother while she was having my sister. I remember the heyday of Rocky Mount Tobacco Market, the Seaboard Coastline Railroad, the famous town that was divided by a railroad track. People's Bank, an original Rocky Mount institution, and many other memories from Rocky Mount. But what made it through Hurricane Hazel 65 years ago were two very important factors: the people and the trees. We have sentinels of remembrance that have been in Rocky Mount far longer than anybody in this room. And that's an important part of what brings us together tonight as we speak. Trees are important. Obviously, when you wear this patch, they seem they're important because it's just a job. But to me, it's a little bit more than that, and that's become really the reason why I'm so connected to Rocky Mountain and what you guys have been doing that I will share with everybody here. And but you know the enormity of this award. So I'd like to do something that I've always wanted to do when I come here, but never have. So if you would excuse my back just for a moment, I'd like to say, thank you all for coming to this awards service tonight for the city of Rocky Mount. I know you're here for civil obedience. You have interests that you're here to support. And I hope that you would just take just a moment to listen to someone else's interest. And I think I have a positive message for the city of Rocky Mount. So don't think that everything is negative in this town, because it is not. There are positive messages. And I thank you all for being here. Now I'm back over here. So thank you very much. On behalf of the National Arbor Day Foundation, I'm extremely proud to present to the City of Rocky Mount your 2018 Tree City USA Award for the 16th year in a row, and your Tree Line USA Award for the 12th year in a row. Also with multiple years of growth awards and special projects awards. This is a long period of time to be consistent with criteria that are not that easy. And I think you have taken it upon yourself to do that through your leadership and through the employees of this great city. But let me share a little bit deeper into that. Rocky Mount has become the pace setter for Nash County and an inspiration to leadership to other entities by also bringing in Nash Community College as Tree Campus USA, NC Wesleyan College as Tree Campus USA, and now the town of Nashville is seeking to become a Tree City USA for 2019. And I say that's with leadership that has started here. You're encouraging to others to participate in this program because of the success you have shown. Not that it was easy, but that you maintained it, and that's a great thing. But now that recognition is transcended to local, county, and the state. We have national recognition here. The National Arbor Day Foundation highlighted Rocky Mount in its annual nationwide newsletter as a national leader in these categories. And I'd like to read just an excerpt from what appeared in the national publication of the National Arbor Day Foundation. Excuse me. The City of Rocky Mount's proactive programs on behalf of trees and urban forestry have led not only to Tree City USA recognition, but also the Tree City USA Growth Award. In addition, its public utility is now a Tree Line USA, and 2 nearby institutions of higher learning have won the honor of Tree Campus USA. With its local utility in mind, the Tree Advisory Board featured low-growing Chickasaw plum seedlings as its giveaway event at City Hall. The educational emphasis was on planting the right tree in the right place, especially near utilities. Another outstanding educational effort was a partnership with the city, North Carolina Forest Service, and the Rocky Mount Children's Museum and Science Center as they hosted a traveling exhibit, Backyard Adventures. The exhibit showcased 17 interactive science displays, including a garden, a decaying house, a pond's food website. More than 2,000 people, including 450 children, learned about the biological interactions between plants and insects, the life of nocturnal animals, the horticultural know-how it takes to grow giant vegetables, and the science of what is going on right in their own backyards. The goal: inspire residents to appreciate biodiversity, use problem-solving skills, and explore scientific principles. This got national attention. This city, with its activities and what it does. So for today, no untruths, no inaccuracies, but I want to let you know that I personally am proud of the city of Rocky Mount, and I thank you very much for earning this award and congratulate you again. Thank you.
Ms. Oden. And then Anna Lamb.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm honored to be here. I do come before you on behalf of the NAACP and as a citizen of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I am very proud of our leadership and the inspiration that you have instilled upon the city. After I left the last city council meeting, and some things were said that we don't do on the Edgecombe County side of Rocky Mount City were proven to be inaccurate, because I could drive down Fairview Road and see Bible camp children in the front of a church out being steered by a leader. I was able to go by a church last Saturday that had a blood drive. And I went to K&W today, and they are giving away free food to any child, regardless of which side of the tracks they live on. Now, these are some very beautiful and inspirational things that are happening within our city. And I do believe it has inspired our leadership, and our leadership inspires our communities, and our communities inspire our citizens. And if somebody wants to stand up here and uninspire me, I am very concerned about that. Because when I go home, I am very concerned about my community. And there are no gangs visible in my community. And I have been exposed to gangs growing up. And that is an issue that can be taken up at the magistrate's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna Lamb, and then Dr. Koo after that.
Listen to the hand claps.
Hi, good evening. I'm Anna Lamb and I live at 7 Carter Street. I'm following up to my petition to the City Council on April 22nd to pass a resolution coming out against the proposed Atlantic Coast Pipeline that will pass through Nash County and impact people here as well in Rocky Mount. I asked the City Council to instead commit to exploring renewable energy solutions that will meet our energy needs as the city continues to grow and not present the dangers to our environment and our lives that come with natural gas. The project's 2 years behind schedule and more than $2 billion over budget. Communities around Rocky Mount are witnessing increased utility bills and will continue to do so because we're the ones footing the bill of this pipeline so that Duke Energy and Dominion can continue to profit. The pipeline will add greater stress to those communities that are being negatively impacted by the city's ongoing economic development and the ones that some of you claim to want to protect. A report from January 2019 by the Oil Change International and the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis, which I can submit to you tonight, explains how the demand outlook for gas has changed dramatically since the project's inception and how much of the project's original justification has evaporated, especially in light of the increased affordability of renewable energy options. I printed a copy for the City Council, and my hope is that those city officials who came out in support of the pipeline back in June of 2016 in an article with the Rocky Mountain Telegram will stop choosing profits over people and rescind their support. I never heard a response from the city last month, and I request an update on this issue.
Thank you. Dr. Koo, and then Maureen Vengeance.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Koo, and I live in 220 South Englewood Drive in the city. I'm addressing to every member of the City Council as well as to the citizens of Rocky Mount. It is my understanding that the City of Rocky Mount endorsed the Atlantic Coast Pipeline in June of 2016. The proposed 600-mile pipeline will be cutting through at least 5 states and passing through Nash County not too far from Rocky Mount. The pipeline is being constructed by a holding company owned by Duke Energy and Dominion Resources. Protests and lawsuits stemming from many serious concerns of environmental and community groups have resulted in delays and stoppages, increasing the cost of the pipeline from an original estimate of about $5 billion to $7.8 billion. Given Duke Energy's propensity to pass costs to its customers, like the cleaning of the coal ash pits and pushing to pass Senate Bill 559, there's no question that the cost of the pipeline misadventure will be passed on to utility customers like you and I. At one of last month's council meeting, Ms. Anna Lam had given a fairly accurate and comprehensive picture of the environmental costs of continuing fossil fuel extraction and use, the effects of climate change from global warming and escalating carbon emissions. The Atlantic Coast Pipeline will be crossing mountains and rivers and farmlands to get to its final destination somewhere in South Carolina. It will cause major, irreparable havoc to our area's ecology, rivers, swamps, and precious ecosystems. It is also possible and probable that gas explosions down the line will result in major catastrophes, far exceed the recent one in downtown Durham, and the 2009 gas explosion at the ConAgra factory in Garner that killed 4 people and injured many. I'm here to add my voice to the request that the City Council rescind the previous resolution in support of the pipeline. Looking into renewable energy should be a priority for the city as alternate sources of energy for new constructions here as the city grows. The cost and benefits of renewable energy have not been fully explored in Rocky Mount. They must become the major sources of all our future energy needs as we march further into the 21st century. We cannot afford to add to the continued ecological demise of our planet. In conclusion, I'm requesting that Council pass a resolution calling off its support for the pipeline. Thank you.
Lauren Menges and then Robert Carr.
Can you hear me? Do I go up?
Yeah.
Maureen Menges, 2220 North Wesleyan Boulevard. First, has the city or whoever was going to work on that low-income housing that was going to go across the street from Edgecombe Community College that they really wanted a parking lot for, which I'm all for the parking lot. Has anything done on that? No. Okay, so maybe the crossing at 64 still? You know, I'd much rather live there if I have low income than right next to a railroad track. But anyhow. Also, is the city looking for a new fire chief? Or has that been?
We're still in the process.
You're still, okay. I'll just check about that. And at your 5 o'clock meeting, is that open to anybody or is that just pretty much y'all?
Parts of it are, depending on if we're here to go into closed session. If not, you know, all of our meetings are open unless we have a client attorney privilege or some other matter that we have to go into closed session.
Okay, thanks. Also, and I'm sorry I wasn't at this meeting, but on Sunday, June the 2nd, a Mr. Lamont Parker evidently came and talked to the city council about gangs, and since he is in the know with these gang people, he wanted to kind of to kind of get the gang leaders and y'all together. And I might have read this wrong in the paper, but it seemed like city council was boo-hooing his idea, like that wasn't good enough, that y'all were working about gangs in your own way. Obviously, that's probably not working too well. In my little shop on 301, I've had a policeman and a state patrolman tell me that I should have my door locked all the time. Well, I'm not real good at locking my doors, but I got this little sign on the door that says ring bell for service, and it's not locked. And people ring that bell, it cracks me up. But I hope y'all weren't just boo-hooing him because, I think he stated he had been a convicted felon.
You got less than 30 seconds.
Okay, if he's been incarcerated, don't you think he would be a good resource person for y'all to kind of talk to about the gangs and trying to clear it up? Because, you know, that sounds like he's probably a smart guy and knows what's going on. But, and please don't litter. I get tired of cleaning 301 up. Thank you.
Lock your doors.
Robert Carr, and then Michael Mosley.
I'm Robert Carr, and I'm a lifetime resident of Rocky Mount. And reading the paper this past week, some headlines that are a little bit disturbing. City works to improve low morale. Another one, longtime city department head resigns post. 18 years working here and he's going to work in Wilson. And he's not the only one. There's another 8 that were in the article that have left for whatever reason. Either, I don't know if they were terminated or if they were just left because of whatever reason. But anyway, 8 of them, I think it was, and they were mostly all department directors. And that leaves us with a void. And some of those positions have not been filled. And we can't run the city with the city manager doing all the work. She's got to have some help. And so somebody needs to get on the ball and start hiring some people. That's just one of my little deals. Another one is, we ask a lot of questions here and express a lot of opinions, and nobody else, I mean, I know you're not gonna answer questions that are asked unless it's just something real simple that you know the answer to. But you're not gonna answer a lot of questions because you have to go back and consult each other and come up with a logical answer to the questions, and it has to be some agreement amongst the city councilman or councilman how to answer those questions. And so that is another thing. That's something else that bothers me. And then there's one more thing. City works to improve low morale. I've been living here a long time, and I just don't remember seeing all this stuff in the paper about the city management and the city council and all this stuff. It's just a lot of negative stuff seems to be going on. And I've lived here for all my life just about, except for about 10 years going to college and in the military. And I just don't remember seeing the paper full of city council stuff and city management stuff. And that just seems to be something that every week. And I don't know what the answer is to that, but some of you folks should be able to come up with answers. And if somebody asks a question in a meeting this week, I don't expect an answer this week, but maybe next week you could give us an answer to what are we doing about a problem? And that's all I got for tonight. I'll think of something else for next time.
Thank you. Michael Mosley, and then last office.
I'm Michael Mosley. I live at 1638 Shamrock Lane, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And it is a lot more civil than the paper gives it to be. I appreciate that. The paper has put a very bad light on our city, and I think it is. I think it's very appropriate. It's also my first time. But my concern is that it's the event center. I was concerned about who gets to use it because I know that our parks and rec have to use various gyms for volleyball and basketball and other events. When we have this beautiful facility there that our citizens can use. So I think that's really important. And then the other aspect of it is that we have young men who are coming back to the community who are doing great things for our community, particularly Michael DeLoach and Montrell Harrell. Mike DeLoach had 2 Saturdays ago, he had 300 kids in South Rocky Mount Gym. Now that's a beautiful facility, but it cannot hold 300 young people. And then this past week, I think he might have had 150, maybe more. And Montrell Harrell is planning on doing the same thing, and actually it was free. Both these events are free, and he had to cut it off at 150 because of the space. And I just think that with this facility here, we have people coming back to their community, trying to do something positive. They should be able to use that facility. So that's my spiel.
All right, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Mr. Daltrey, and then Sammy Banner. And I just want to make this comment. There's a Christina Mantle and Roy Williams that want to speak on an issue that's coming up on the agenda, and I'm going to wait till we get to that point because it's a public hearing that has to do with some rezoning. So rather than calling you now, I'm going to call you when we get to that part on the agenda. So just to clear that up.
Well, I agree with the previous speaker regarding the event center. It is a citizens facility paid for by the citizens of Rocky Mount. Therefore, the citizens should have access to it without paying an additional fee. And the programs he was discussing sound like good programs to me. On agenda item 18, there's a lease tonight. In the lease of the facility, my understanding is already occupied. So I'm questioning why are we going to agree to a lease on something that's already occupied? Why wasn't this done in advance? And if that's the case, if I were a city council person, I would ask for a complete listing of all the property that the city of Rocky Mount leases and the details of that, because, well, first of all, I don't understand why the city of Rocky Mount's leasing a property anyway, but that's a whole separate issue. So I do have a concern with that, and I would imagine each of you should as well. In the classifieds, there was a public hearing announcement for the hotel project on Monday, July the 8th of 2019. It states that the full draft version of the development agreement will be available and posted for review on the city's website on or before June 6, 2019, and copies of the same will be available in the office of city clerk. Well, on the website, it does have the agreement, which is in draft form. It states it's in draft form, but it excludes the exhibits A, A-1, B, and C. So therefore, we the citizens cannot come when you have the hearing and speak towards that. And so therefore, it's incomplete, which I would imagine the local government commission would take issue with when you go in August to try to get the funding for the city of Rocky Mount. So I would appreciate and think you would want that on there so there would be no questions, and the citizens can come and speak knowledgeable about what you're trying to encumber us to. And then lastly, I just want to make a comment. I come here to the city council often, and people come up here quite often to talk about the city parks and so forth, and we have a great park system. People talk about, things needing improvement. But I just want to make an observation. Ward 5, the only reason Ward 5 has a park is because of annexation to Bun Farm. There's no park or any community facility, pool, or anything for our children or families in Ward 5. And so I just want to bring that to your attention. I'm sure you're aware of it. I'm not so sure the citizens are completely aware of it. And so therefore, Ward 5 is doing without. So thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Samuel Battle, and then Brenda Cook.
Good evening. My partner's not here today, so I'm speaking from Lamont too. We got work. Me and Lamont, we met with some gang members over the weekend, about 5 of them. And the things we talked about, if they're willing to cause a truce, they want to know what's on the table with them. They want jobs. They want kids to get back in school. They need money. So we've been saying this time and time again. I heard the lady from here today. This game's all over right now. We ain't gonna even play with that. This game's all over the city. And some of y'all sits up here in the order, y'all can't come to these neighborhoods. You ain't gonna come to these neighborhoods. We ain't gonna want, we can go all the way over these neighborhoods. We can go anywhere we want to. We gotta build their respect over the years in the neighborhoods. They respect us, always respect us. We're not gonna do nothing to them, they ain't gonna do nothing to us. But this is a turf war. Kids can't go to OIC, kids can't go over there to Socket Mountain, just Edgecombe County. You know, they can't do that. Kids can't come over from, Socket Mountain to OIC, to Booker T. Washington. They can't do that. They can't do it. They want the same security that they got over there at Socket Mountain to OIC. Booker T. Washington. They want the same security. Police over there, they want it over there. We're not gonna have somebody over there acting like the police security and get shot. It ain't right. They got it over there, we need it over here. Gangs are here in Rocky Mountain. If you don't come with some type of solution, they're gonna tear it up. We keep talking about all the jobs and everything. That's good. But what you gonna do about this crime? Everybody talking about building stuff, this and that. You still forgetting the little people. What you gonna do about these kids? 13, 12, 11 years old coming to the game. The mothers don't even know what's going on. Gangs are everywhere. This is what they want. They're gonna put it on the table. When is the city of Rocky Mountain gonna call us and talk about this?
You have about 30 seconds, Mr. Bell.
The citizens want to know. We got the majority, man. Make something happen. Make something happen. I call, people don't even want to see me and all that type of stuff. But I tell you what, I'm gonna keep coming up here, and I'm gonna come with a proposal, and I'm gonna put it on the table. You have the right to turn it down or give us what we want. And I want the citizens to understand that we came with a solution. Y'all ain't got to do it. You turn it down. But that's what we want y'all to do, so we can show the people who y'all really are. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Cook.
Who in their right mind clap or something like
Good
that?
evening. I'm Brenda Cooper, representing the South Rocky Mountain community. I stay at 414 Estelle Street. I wish to do in this state. I have a couple of concerns to attend. The first one I want to mention is the event center parking. I think it's sort of inconvenient in many ways, especially if you have events going on and you have elderly people attending and trying to get in and out of that event. It is sort of difficult to maneuver an elderly person from around an entire complex to get to the front and get in and then get back out. The parking for handicap on the front street is just not enough convenience to get that many people in and out. Some events they want to enjoy. Recently I took a lady to the event, there, and I dropped her off and I drove way around, and it was dark, pretty dark, getting dark when we come out, so it makes it sort of uncomfortable to walk from the main street all the way to that. It'd be better if the entrance was on that side, and more safer. The other thing I want to bring out is there were remarks made about South Rocky Mountain, and I'm from South Rocky Mountain, so I stand up for South Rocky Mountain. The gentleman just left, and I was hoping he would go wait, because I have, one lady mentioned about what's coming together. That's the whole thing, everybody. But South Rocky Mountain has worked. We pushed and encouraged and pleaded and begged for things to come in our area for over 30 years. It's not something that's happened overnight. And we know that everything can't happen all over the place at the same time. So we finally got our turn to get some things. So we appreciate what we have, and we want to hold on. One comment was made about kids coming from the other side of Edgecombe side, particularly over to South Rocky Mountain Community Center, being afraid of getting shot. Well, that could be the same situation, vice versa. You hear it. I listen, I hear what young people say, and old people alike. I've had people literally come over and comment.
30 seconds.
Oh, that's already? Okay. But I just have a concern about that, we work for those, we push for those things, and every community push and encourage one another. Then we don't have to fight against each other for anything. You mentioned about spray play. We have one, but guess what? The pool. We have to go to the pool in Edgecombe County. So it balances out.
My son come from Pine Top and say, it come
All
from
right, again, like I said, Christina Battle and Leroy Williams, I called you when we were
La, la, la.
on the issue that you are concerned about. That is the end of our public petitions to the public. We're going to move on to item number, and that is the public hearing. This is relative to our proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. The recommended action is to receive any public comment that we might have tonight. So if you have a comment on the budget, we do not anticipate any kind of increase at this point. So if you want to comment on that, now's your chance to do it. So any member of the public would like to speak on this item? If not, the public hearing is closed.
It's coming.
Okay.
Good evening to you, Ronson Williams. So I heard about not sharing inaccuracies, believing that it's critically important. It is true that everything in Rocky Mount certainly is not negative, despite some people's agenda to make it their business to talk negative about Rocky Mount. When I look at the budget in Rocky Mount and attending some of the work sessions, it was discussed in one of the budget work sessions that there would be a link available on the city's main page, that citizens would have access to the budget. As of a few minutes ago, that link is still not on the main page. That's something, of course, I talked about years ago, and it was there before. Access, certainly, to information should be one of the highest priorities of the council. I believe that it is, and because the councilman made such suggestion to staff to ensure that that situation was handled. Lastly, when I look at the budget, I hope that we can find ways to plan, fund, and construct and use a pedestrian bridge downtown, one or two. I was downtown today as we recently moved the business downtown and noticed that several trains may stay there for 20 plus minutes. And I was stuck on Edgecombe County side. I couldn't get back over on Nash County. And it was raining too at the same time. So certainly I see the great use of a pedestrian bridge and how it could help with opening up additional parking space on each side of the tracks for the event center to accommodate the soon-to-be vibrant downtown. Also, I want to talk about General Statute 160A 272, which talks about leases of rental property. The state of North Carolina allows city councils and cities to lease property. I would think that some people would look at property not being used as wasteful if the city did not use it. So we're thankful that the General Assembly vested the authority in council to lease such property as that citizens or whomever may be at a rich space and create value to the community. Those businesses that are open in various properties that's leased by the city is giving opportunity for people to have a thriving business. So for that, we're appreciative. In fact, it's turning a property that we would not ordinarily collect property tax on and generating some additional revenue for the budget which we're talking about tonight. So I'm appreciative that you're taking advantage of your state recognized authority that you can do as it relates to leasing property. But again, I want to stress enough, I hope that we make one of our priorities that we look at how to fund and build the pedestrian bridge downtown Rocky Mount. Thank you much.
Thank you. Any other citizen like to speak on that item? If not, public hearing is closed on item number 8. We can move to item number 9. This is consideration of the minutes and recommendations from the regular scheduled planning board meeting. This was held on May 14, 2019. I'm going to ask our planning director, Will, to come up and give us a review of this. It's a public hearing relative to the following rezoning request. It's recommended for approval and found in compliance with our comprehensive plan by the planning board. The request was by Brian Michaud on behalf of Kinley Horn and Associates to rezone 54.29 acres located on East Raleigh Boulevard from R10 to R10 and OI2. Part of the zoning is already R10, 20, I believe about 25 acres is involved in this rezoning, if I'm not mistaken. So this time, Will?
That's correct. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Again, this request, that large tract down by Raleigh Road and 64, US 64 to the east, went through the planning board. Commission came through our recommendation similar to theirs. You guys also have a copy of the uses that are allowed by right in that zoning district. Again, this is a straight rezoning request that we have in front of you. In addition to thinking about all those uses that may be available, there's some additional requirements at the time of development that should come through. So there's specific standards for the O&I too. And essentially it's a mixed-use district. You have to have a combination at the time of two land uses, commercial, residential, or office, two of those. A standalone development of just one use is not permitted in that district, and that would be as we review it through our development review committee. And again, one of those land uses shall be no greater than 75% in this case. So it forces you to mix and rearrange those uses. In addition, there's some other aesthetic requirements for buffering. A fence is required, and there's no option to waive any of the buffering requirements of it. So here for any questions that you may have.
Council members? This item, I will let you sit down, and if we have some questions, we'll bring them back up. But we have two people, I believe, and it is a public hearing, so there are two people that wanted to speak on this item. Christina Battle, if you're here, if you'd like to come up and speak on this item. And then after that, Leroy Williams also signed up, but we're calling him now opposed to earlier because he wants to speak on this item.
Okay, regarding the crossing at 64, I'm concerned because there's been no mention of funds, improvements, incentives, or uplift for the existing community near the crossing. I know we've heard things like tax revenue for the city and county would be the benefit, but that also equals a tax increase for the current community. With the North Village community that you're proposing, which is in competition with the bill, has proven gentrification will occur at $1.38 per square foot per month. I embrace being an American descendant of slavery, where the racial wealth gap has placed the median family's wealth at $1,750, including their car and furniture. This wealth in this community will not and cannot sustain the mixed-use zoning of approximately 54 acres. Home ownership as R10 is just one part of building wealth, not rentals. Thank you.
All right, then Leroy Williams.
Good evening. 52 acres rezoning, I oppose. R10 single-family home builds wealth. Quid pro quo. You don't give anything without receiving something. And that's a problem with this community. We're not receiving anything. We're doing it. We will not have access to the amenities that this community will have. We cannot afford $1.16 per square foot. Or maybe new jobs are coming. Are those jobs guaranteed to us? I don't think so. The village apartments give the county, city, of course, like Ms. Battle says, give them something. For us, it gives us higher taxes without injecting anything for the marginalized and disadvantaged area. Hashtag ADOS, Americans Descendants of Slavery. We always eat the failures because of slavery. The racial wealth gap is working. Rocky Mount Edgecombe Community Development Corporation has been in possession of these 25 acres for 18 years, no development. North Carolina Community Initiative Commission out of Raleigh, their mission, the initiative leads market-driven transformation efforts across North Carolina to improve the lives of citizens in the marginalized and disadvantaged areas. That's their mission. They own that land. They've owned it for 8 years. They say we use strategic leading as well as public policy advocacy to build inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous neighborhoods throughout the state. Block the rezoning until Rocky Mount Edgecombe shows signs of what they're gonna do with the 25 acres that they now possess. The tax office on the way up shows all this property R10, which includes property on both sides of the Bojangles and 25 acres behind Bojangles, including R10 on Bojangles. At the Hilldale Family and Friends reunion, I moved around asking citizens, were they aware of the rezoning? Majority overwhelmingly, no. I even asked one of the city councilmen.
Certain times up.
And he didn't even know.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there any other member of the public that's here tonight that would like to speak on this item? If not, the public hearing is closed. The recommended action that came from the planning board was to accept the receipt of the planning board minutes and adopt the ordinance amending the land development code and map. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve, and I have something to say after this time for that.
Do a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Blackwell, second by Councilmember Rogers, and I'll call on Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate the questions and concerns that have been levied about the use of, first of all, the rezone and the development at that track. And probably one of the things that we've got to do a better job at is communicating to all of our public about the economic development process. And it's interesting to me that people are blaming folks who are trying to move development in the east for no development in the east. People who own assets to invest can make a decision to put whatever they want to put wherever they want to put it. And it's one person who has been working for 15 years along with Rocky Mount Edgecombe CDC, the Chamber of Commerce, and city officials to attract individuals and investors to that community. There have been a couple of issues that continually arise. Number one, retailers say that they are concerned about the numbers of households in that community that live in unsubsidized communities. That's code word for housing developments that are public in nature. Sheets themselves told myself and Councilman Knight directly when we had asked them about locating a Sheets at that property. They had a question about the quote-unquote quality of households. I don't know what that means. We asked for the definition of quality, and it was not told. They just said we're not investing there. So when private developers come to the table, they come to the table with a vision of their own. We've worked hard at this city council to ensure that we're welcoming to all investors and all citizens without exchanging the value of properties for people who've already lived there and invested there. That's what we say. Now, the practical matter is we've got to figure out how to balance investment with existing people who've already invested. We've got to make room for people of all income levels in every area of our city. If we don't do it, you won't have development. So my question to all of us in Rocky Mount, if we want to see a vibrant community in every community, we want to see neighborhoods that thrive in every area of our city, what's our plan? We can oppose, but what's our plan? How are we going to bring people who invest? Now I've lived on the East for 25 years. Nobody can tell me where I don't live and what I don't deal with. I live around folk who have been in gangs and still are. I work at OIC. I work with gang members every day. 75% of my students are members of the Crips of the Bloods, and we've never had one gang fight at OIC.
Come on now.
I work directly, and so have this council, previous administration, with leadership of gangs. And we told people there is no free pass for anything. If you want a job, you want a career, you gotta do what it takes to have a job and a career. Nobody's cutting a deal with somebody to keep from killing somebody else just because you don't wanna kill somebody. That ain't gonna happen, not with me. I don't know about anybody else. There is a pathway to restoration and a pathway to success. And it requires education, it requires development, and it requires sacrifice and collaboration across the board. What I see in this opportunity of land and changing the zoning at Crossing at 64, the property that's adjacent to Crossing, is this going to increase the opportunity to build density in a community that was adjacent one exit away from one of the largest new manufacturing projects in this state, where the average job will be worth $70,000. So we got about 24 months to prepare for that. And I say, let's figure out how to get in every workforce, training, development entity, prepare ourselves for these jobs that are coming. So by the time these new houses are built and apartments are built, we're able to participate. On the other side, I'd say to the staff that there needs to be a clear understanding for every developer, regardless of what you plan to develop. You gotta have a place in your development plan if you want to get our support, and this is me saying it, but we got a full council of 7 here. If you want my support, you make sure that there's somebody in every development, there's room for people of all income levels. So what I'd say, sir, the challenge, and we've not talked to any developer, I don't think I haven't, I don't know if anybody else has, but we have yet to see what a site plan is or what their plans are. But we can communicate right now at the rezoning process that we want to see affordable housing at that location, and we want to see other options and pathways to home ownership too. So that's my stance. That's why I'm supporting this rezoning. And that's what I believe I can commit to work towards, and I'm sure my fellow council members do.
Any other comments?
Don't blame
I would
me.
say that's not only Councilman Blackwell's stance, that's the 7 of our stance.
Any other questions, comments?
Mayor, I'll just simply say, very simply, that I think the rezoning here can be catalytic and lead to very good things for a part of town that needs some more development. That's my hope.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 9 is approved. And that was to acknowledge the receipt of the ordinance and adopted ordinance. Item 10 is a consideration of a resolution. This is authorizing the property exchange with log cabin homes for property located on the east side of Middle Street and 410 North Pearl Street. This is for city-owned property located at 2305 Northwest of Boulevard. And this is an option or a contract that would go through June 30th of 2026. This is in connection with the Moncton Mill Trail, and it is pursuant to a resolution of intent to exchange real property adopted by the council on April 22nd, 2019. And I think we authorized city clerk to publish a public notice. This was deferred from May 13th and May 28th. The recommended action is to adopt the resolution authorizing the property exchange between the city and log cabin homes, and it authorizes the execution of necessary documents by the mayor and manager for the exchange, and it does include option agreement and an exchange agreement.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rogers, second by Councilmember Miller. Is there any discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 10 is approved. Item 11 is a consideration of a proposal from the John Hackney Agency. This is for our property and liability insurance. It's the primary carrier's traveler's insurance. Again, it's a lot of money, but we gotta have the insurance. So the recommended action is to approve. Recommended is to approve the proposal.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Blackwell, second by Councilmember Joyner. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item 11 is approved. Item 12 is a consideration of an ordinance. This is amending Chapter 3 of the city's code titled Alarm Systems. It rewrites the chapter for enforcement of an ordinance to opt out of criminal enforcement. The recommended action is to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Watkins, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 12 is approved. Item 13 is a consideration. This is an amendment to lease, with a lease agreement. This is with Joel's Bozeman and Steve Wordsworth. This is to reduce the duration of the city's farm, can be used for pasture for cattle, and adjust the monthly rent. We currently have a lease with them at this point. The part of the property they're leasing is unavailable during the months of December and March. So we're adjusting this to go along with the months that it is usable. The recommended action is to approve the amendment to lease the lease agreement, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the same on behalf of the city.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Miller. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 13 is approved. Item 14 is a consideration. This is an amendment to the Ravenwood Crossing Sidewalk Cost Reimbursement Agreement. This is with WODA Construction, and it is relative to sidewalk installation at the Ravenwood Crossing to install sidewalks in front of parcels that are not owned by Ravenwood Crossing Limited Partnership. And it does increase our contribution by $12,171. Recommended action is to approve the amendment to the agreement and authorize the mayor to execute on behalf of the city.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Watkins, second by Councilmember Blackwell. Is there any discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 14 is approved. Item 15 is a consideration. This is an amendment of water purchase contract. This is with Nash County. It does increase Nash County's water allocation from 450,000 gallons per day with a minimum purchase of 100 gallons per day to 565,000 gallons per day with a minimum purchase of 215,000. Recommended action is to approve the amendment and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the same on behalf of the city.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Miller, second by Councilmember Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 15 is approved. Item 16 is a consideration of a donation of property at 229 Coleman Avenue. This is by the Community Restoration Corporation. The assessment due of $389 to be paid by the Stormwater Capital Fund, and the city and county taxes will be paid as consideration of the property. The value is like $6,254, and it's being donated to the city, and we need it for drainage repair project. Recommended action is to accept the offer of donation of property and approve the payment of the assessment and taxes as recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Blackwell, second by Councilmember Watkins. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 16 is approved. Item 17 is a consideration. This is a rebid for Parker's Canal Stream Stabilization. The award was to the VCS contractors. Recommended action is to award the bid as recommended and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the bid contract on behalf of the city. I hear a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Blackwell. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item 17 is approved. And number 18 is a consideration of a lease agreement. This is with Barbecue and Jazz Inc. doing business as a deli and coffee shop for space at 213 through 219 Northeast Main Street. That's a one-year lease, which would go through May 20th of 2020. No lease payments required for the first 3 months. Recommended action is to adopt a resolution authorizing the lease of property for 1 year and approve the lease agreement, authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the lease agreement on behalf of the city.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember George, second by Councilmember Blackwell. Any discussion?
Since this was a subject of a question that was asked earlier in the public comment period, could the city manager or Dr. Falcon address the issue of why the occupancy preceded the signing of the lease?
Sure, I'll ask Dr. Falcon to come forward and address it.
Oh, you got a video.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. Staff has been working with this business owner since about 2015. They had entered into an original lease agreement. They have a deposit that's been given to the city, and we are simply moving forward with a short-term lease as we work out the details of a long-term lease.
Any other questions, comments? I think we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 18 is approved. We thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you for being with us. And at this point, we adjourn. Yes.
Oh, well. Mr. Williams.
Yep.